Nestled in the Ardennes forest waits an absolutely classic challenge, a throwback, and unashamedly so. The reputation of Spa-Francorchamps speaks for itself. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the Belgian Grand Prix. Spa-Francorchamps today, a circuit that spans 4.35 miles. There are tons of elevation changes along the way too. 19 corners making up this circuit, with 9 of those to the right and the remaining 10 to the left. This track's a great one for fans of pure speed, and the average lap speed comes close to a whopping 145 miles per hour. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Yuki Tsunoda lines up on pole position, and Andrea Kimi Antonelli completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Verstappen, Leclerc, and Sir Lewis Hamilton, and Norris, Piastri, Russell, and Fernando Alonso, Lawson, Albon, Carlos Sainz, and Hadjar, Stroll, Blakely, Jack Doohan, and Gabriel Bortoleto, Gasly, Ocon, Behrman, and Nico Hülkenberg rounds off the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. And alongside me in the commentary box, my old friend, Anthony Davidson. Look, we know it's not where you start, it's where you finish. But let's talk about the start now. What's there to help the drivers get away well?
Big pressure at the start of the race, Crofty, for all of them up and down the grid, no matter where you are. But the drivers these days, they practice, practice and practice. They have rigs with them at the circuit where they can sit down with the actual steering wheel from the real car, and they've got lights that they react to. The clutch paddle is tailored around the driver's hands, around their fingers, so they can have optimum position before they start. So there's so much thought and effort that goes into getting these cars off the line.
We can now use DRS. DRS now available. Great work. That's a new fastest lap of the race. That was the fastest lap of the race. Keep this up. Well done. Gap to your teammate behind, 35.7 seconds.
ないから、この時が続く限り楽しみましょう。みんな最高よ。
What a great race then, and a magnificent victory here at the Belgian Grand Prix.
With 5 race victories now, is for the others now really to try and stop that momentum that they've got on their side, because before too long, they're going to be looking at the championship. It's theirs, it's within grasp right now, of course.
Here comes your top 3 making their way down to the podium for what can only be described as a fantastic day for Formula One. Well, what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one. We're live on the outskirts of the capital, Budapest, at a track that's extremely popular with both the fans and our drivers. I'm talking, of course, about the Hungaro Ring, and we're about to begin the Hungarian Grand Prix. We're northeast of Budapest for today's race at the 2.7-mile Hungaro Ring circuit. 14 corners here, 8 to the right and 6 to the left, on a track where downforce is king and passing is notoriously difficult. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position, just ahead of George Russell, who starts this event from P2. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Tsunoda, Leclerc, Lando Norris, and Hamilton, Piastri, Antonelli, Albon, and Lance Stroll. Hadjar, Lucas Blakely, and Lawson. Fernando Alonso, Sainz, Jack Doohan, and Nico Hülkenberg. Behrman, Gasly, Ocon, and Gabriel Bortoleto rounds off the grid. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today? And alongside me today, a man who I'm always pleased to see join me in the commentary box, Anthony Davidson. Look, we know it's not where you start, it's where you finish, but let's talk about the start now. What's there to help the drivers get away well?
Big pressure at the start of the race, Crofty, for all of them up and down the grid, no matter where you are. But the drivers these days, they practice, practice and practice. They have rigs with them at the circuit where they can sit down with the actual steering wheel from the real car, and they've got lights that they react to. The clutch paddle is tailored around the driver's hands, around their fingers, so they can have optimum position before they start. So there's so much thought and effort that goes into getting these cars off the line.
DRS now enabled. DRS enabled. Good job, that was the fastest lap of the race so far. Okay mate, this is the final lap of the race, final lap.
刻むの。永遠に続く保証はないから、この時が続く限り楽しみましょう。みんな最高よ。
And it's a performance to be proud of from our Hungarian Grand Prix winners.
They had to be decisive with their overtaking today as they worked their way through the field. And those kind of race victories are so enjoyable because it's not just like winning from the front. They really had to work for it today.
Well, what a thrilling end to an incredible Grand Prix weekend. Our top three finishers should be incredibly happy with what they were able to achieve out there today. And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport action. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.